This video contains spoilers of either some or all of this review, so if you really don't want to be spoiled, you've been warned. Otherwise, enjoy the video! Gravitation is based off the manga that started in 1996 and ended in 2002. Before the official anime, Gravitation had an OVA that spanned 2 episodes in 1999. Which I will leave alone since I'm only going to talk about the anime that premiered on October 4, 2000 and concluded on January 10, 2001 with only 13 episodes. And for those of you with ideas in your heads, I am not reviewing this as a yaoi. I'm reviewing this as a shonen ai as it is, according to almost every single anime, Wikipedia, or whatever it is, thing that's out there and has Gravitation in its repertoire. But even with our growing cultural understanding of homosexuality, which has completely differed since the late 90s and the early 2000s, or the beginning of the 2000s, does Gravitation still withstand the rigors of time? With this review, that's exactly what we're going to find out. Along with, does the music even stand through time? Without further ado, this is Gravitation. Gravitation starts off with a hopeful rock star named Shuichi, who is starting to get famous in his band which he formed with his childhood friend, Hiro. As their careers are going to start, Shuichi doesn't exactly have inspiration to write new songs because he has writer's block. Pretty bad writer's block. One night, something hits him and he starts writing. However, a gust of wind blows Shuichi's lyrics away, so he has to go back and get them. When he does, he finds his lyrics in the hands of a handsome stranger. The downside is that the stranger is actually the famous romance author Yuki, who has no soft spot for lackluster work, and that's exactly what he calls Shuichi's ability to write songs. This angers Shuichi to the point where he actually finishes the song and actually finds Yuki's house to show him how much improvement he's made. This story was so cheesy 90s that it's not even funny. Actually, this show is downright hilarious. Shuichi is the one who makes this show funny. In many comedic anime these days, there are not many comedic characters who can stay themselves without being obnoxious. Shuichi should be one of those characters who would be super duper annoying, especially towards Yuki at the beginning. But it's not like Shuichi's doing anything wrong. In fact, we feel worse for Shuichi when he's getting picked on by everybody else because of his success and love for Yuki. Oh, and I might have forgotten to mention that this anime is just as dramatic than it is comedic and romantic. Like, this series really takes the whole 9 yards. Without giving away too much for right now, it is Shuichi and Yuki's relationship, or growing one otherwise, that starts a downward spiral or restarts a spiral that's already been paused. And there are a lot more people involved in the case than any viewer of the show can imagine. Even the stoic Yuki can't keep his brave face. And I would love to talk about that, but that's in the next section of this video. But if there's one thing I will say, it's that the events that Shuichi and Yuki have to suffer through do end up making them stronger instead of tearing them apart like the other characters' intentions are. It's because of this that does lead up to Shuichi being a successful superstar that he always wanted. In order to go deeper into this, let's talk about characters. This series wouldn't have a complete review without the next couple of elements. One of them is definitely the characters. As I talked about earlier, Shuichi is one of the most adorable main leads I have ever come across in anime. He may be a hopeless romantic and a naive dreamer at times, but those qualities don't stop him from being determined in accomplishing his goals or caring to the people closest to him. Even when he gets tortured by a rival band because of jealousy, that doesn't change his personality. In fact, Shuichi doesn't even have a desire for revenge because that's not the type of person he wants to be as he becomes famous. And this type of personality is going to help him relieve Yuki from his inner demons. Speaking of Yuki, He is one of the most damaged souls I have ever seen in anime history. Throughout the show, he tries to push Shuichi away from him, but at the same time, he uses Shuichi for his personal gain at times, for mostly emotional reasons, and never for promoting his published works like a certain somebody from Junjo Romantica. Along the way, we come to realize that Yuki wants to have a connection with someone, and Shuichi was the first person to do that in years. Why can't he have a connection? Because this poor man right here was a victim of attempted rape. When he was in school, a teacher tries to get him to do things he didn't want to do, and Yuki defended himself, which ended up killing his assaulter. Though he wasn't arrested for it because it was self-defense of a child, that memory stuck with Yuki for the rest of his life, and he's afraid of getting hurt or having anyone hurt because of something he did out of self-defense. He is considered a strong character, and he is a broken one at the same time. Yes, he does everything and anything to keep his life in control and to make sure Shuichi is the best performer he can be. However, he needs Shuichi to bring stability into Yuki's life. Though Shuichi is like the complete opposite of what Yuki stands for in this anime, it's not up to the point that makes them super incompatible to the point that it would annoy the audience. In fact, it's their contrast and attraction to each other because of their contrasts that gives me the warm and fuzzies. And there's one more character I want to talk about before I move on. Yuki's best friend since school, and Shuichi's boss, Toma. When the show first introduces him as a character, he's known as the producer who lets Shuichi find himself even if deadlines are coming in very close. In fact, he sees Shuichi in himself because he's such a joyful businessman. However, when Yuki or any of his clients are put in danger or blackmail, you better watch your effing back, because this fox will strike.
But now that you have threatened Eri Yuki, you must pay a fitting price.
But Mr. Seikuchi, why are you taking his side so much?
It is because I love Eri more than anything else in this world.
What?
And that was the point in the show that made me stop thinking that this anime only existed for the gay fan service. The majority of characters are pretty well done, even some of the side characters. Though they're not on screen most of the time, they still had good deliveries. I couldn't really find a character that I didn't want to see. I thought I was not going to like Ryuichi from Needle Grasper, but even he performed masterfully. Characters made this series, no doubt about it. And I can't review a music anime without giving some sort of critique on the music. So, how good or bad is Gravitation's soundtrack, eh? If you're ever going to watch a music anime, what has to pull you in is the music. If you don't have a good soundtrack, why bother? Yeah, it's also a romance show, but this anime really combines the two genres. You have fantastic voice actors who can play their characters and sing, at least for the characters that need to sing. Plus, I think this is the first time in a while that I've listened to every song of an anime and tried to look it up on YouTube so I can listen to it for all time purposes. That rarely ever happens, but Gravitation was definitely on the nose when turning the manga into a visual reality. For the most part, I'd say that the animation was pretty spot on, especially for the year 2000. The character designs are done miles better than the manga, and have gotten a pretty decent update since the OVA, which was playing the year earlier. Styles range from your classic shoujo fare to chibi animation, and the chibi parts are used sparingly, so that doesn't distract from the main style. In fact, the only parts I remember that use the chibi style is whenever Shuichi is having a cutesy moment because, well, he is a cute character. He's allowed to have that style whenever it's possible. However, my favorite animated character in the whole show has to be Yuki. His design is incredible, from his clothes to his facial features. Not trying to repeat what Anime America said, but look at those eyes. If those are not the sign of this guy can kill you, I don't know what else it would be. The other characters are nicely designed as well. And for an anime that was released in the first year of the 2000s, it's pretty clean cut. And you know that's a really good thing if it's clean cut. Regardless of that, the English sub to this show definitely gives it the fantastic quality. So, if you really want to see how great the show is, please watch this English subbed or whatever sub that your language is in. Because whatever it is, it's gonna be a lot more accurate and a lot more interesting than whatever it is in your dubbed countries. With that being said in mind, I am very, very honored to announce myself, well, because I'm the only person here, that I will give Gravitation, or have been giving Gravitation, the beating heart 10 out of 10 that it so deserves. It's one of those shows that everyone watches for their first shonen ai or yaoi. I also think that this show would ruin watching just any shonen ai or yaoi for anyone because basically, it's the best in the genre. It's one of the best love stories ever told, and I'm honored to be reviewing this anime during the month of Valentine's. Or more like, after Valentine's. I'm Cait Cher, and it's been real. Ciao!